Hey everyone, Brendan Snyder here. How are you? Thanks so much for joining me and welcome to a special interview with Guns N' Roses keyboardist Dizzy Reed. Thanks so much for being here, man.
All right, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So you've been in the band since 1990. You've been there 35 years, second longest serving member behind Axl Rose. So I'm figuring you must know where all the bodies are buried.
Um, yeah, no, actually, everyone else will probably know before me.
Yeah, they will. Well, maybe we'll get to some of that in a little bit, but I want to talk about your brand new album,
Oh yeah,
Rock and Roll Chose Me, just
ooh, yeah,
came out on LP here. So now this is your second solo album, and
correct.
I noticed that on the back of it, the copyright is 2024. Was this supposed to come out a year earlier, or what happened?
I think, yeah, there was we put out the first single last year,
Right.
and then we just wanted to make sure everything was right,
Mhm.
all crossed all our T's and dotted all our I's, with and the label has been done such a good job of making sure everything was cool and good, and so we didn't want to put it out till we were absolutely ready, and now is that time.
Well, I got to say, man, the sound of this album is really good. And I think the 10 tracks that you've got lined up on it are really strong. So I guess waiting that extra amount of time really paid off.
Right on, man. Well, thank you.
So part of what I noticed with it, though, at least for me and in my ears, it sounds like you're exploring some new sounds and territory on this album, a little different than the previous album that you had done. For me, this one sounded a little more straightforward, kind of rock, whereas this one here, I kind of hear some different sounds in the keyboards and everything. Is that just where your mind is at, or was that a conscious decision to go in a little bit of a new direction?
I think it's kind of where my mind was at. I think I allowed myself a little bit
Mhm.
more freedom with this, to do what I thought was right, to tell the stories,
Yeah.
um, and to add the what I think is sometimes the necessary ear candy to really help tell the story. So, and again, that's what I do.
Right,
So
right.
yeah, with Chinese democracy, and there was just a lot of time just I spent, just experimenting with new sounds and synths and stuff. And now we have all this stuff at our disposal. Um, but at the same time, I didn't want to veer too far off the rock and roll track, and I didn't think I did. So
No, not at all. I think you stayed right on it. I mean, at least all the things that I consider to be the hallmark of your sound, what I loved so much from your debut album, still appears on it. It's interesting that you reference Chinese democracy in it because when I did the review of your album, I compared your first one to being more like Appetite and the second one to being more like Chinese democracy, where it
sure.
has those layered effects on it. I really like where you brought in the different background singers and the different, as you call it, ear candy. It
Yeah,
keeps me interested all the way through.
yeah, ear candy or um, digital audio imagery, which I kind of say.
Oh, I
So
like that.
yeah, so that's I mean that's hilarious that you made. I mean, not hilarious, but kind of hilarious that you made that distinction. But of course, what else would you expect, right?
Right, right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, with the songwriting that you've done for both of these albums, when you write, do you set anything aside and say, no, this is GNR, or do you take it to GNR first? How do you decide what ends up on your solo albums versus maybe what you bring to the band?
I think most of these ideas were ones that I sort of just I'd never really thought about it. Just this is
Mhm.
going to be something I want to, I had an idea, I want to sing it, I want to play it, I want to do this, and so yeah, I guess somewhere there's a separate pocket in my brain for that, right? And yeah, so it's these were songs that I definitely picked out the best 10 ideas I had
Mhm.
for the next record. So.
Cool. Yeah. Part of why I was asking that was just your some of the co-writes that are on here. So you've got Del James on
Mhm.
six of these, right? He's known for having co-written a couple on Use Your Illusion
Yep.
albums, and then the short story that was the November Rain.
Yep.
Um, thing for the video, the storyline for the video. So having seen his name on here, and then there's one with Tommy Stinson.
Oh
That's why I
yeah.
was, wondering like how and when these got written, as opposed to, what it is that you choose to be on the album. So was like the one with Tommy Stinson, is that an older one?
Well, I'll tell you the story about that. That
Which is Bombs
song,
Away. I'm sorry I didn't mention the name of it.
it's called Bombs Away, I
Yeah.
believe. Better Look Out Below. So that was a song that I had recorded a demo version of it
Hmm.
a long time ago, years ago, and it was something that I submitted. I was asked to submit to two of the major sports networks. I'm not going to say which ones, the
Sure.
two major sports networks, and along with some other material that I had. I never heard back from them, and I thought, I put so much into that song, maybe I'll do it. I'll make a more of a sort of a soulful rock version of it. And Tommy's name appears there because I was playing it for him on the bus one night,
Hmm.
and he came up with he had a suggestion,
Hmm.
and even though it was a small suggestion, it was really, really it absolutely made the song work, in the way that it does now. So I figured I really needed to give him credit for that. So he probably doesn't even know that it's out there yet. But
Well, that's very cool because obviously in the roll world, we've heard plenty of stories where that kind of stuff doesn't happen. So you're obviously a very stand-up guy doing that for Tommy.
well, and I mean and him for me,
Yeah.
it's like when I get a suggestion from someone like Tommy, I'm gonna definitely consider it. And he was dead on it. It sets up it sets up the verses perfectly.
Hmm.
So um yeah.
Cool, man.
And with Del James, Del and I are old dear friends, and I just the we he co-produced the first record with me.
Right.
And he had a lot to do with that. He had a lot to do with
Mhm.
the people that were brought in, the different sort of Frankensteining of combinations of people that probably would never play together, and as well as some of the arrangements of the songs. And I think this time around, I always go to Del with when it comes to the lyrics. I like to run stuff by him.
Hmm.
I trust his opinion, and also he's really good at making things sort of fit together grammatically. Um, and also if I'm looking for something, he might give me a spark or an idea that for me to play off of, or sometimes he'll just hand me something kind of randomly and I'll go, oh, that's cool. I could use that in a song, So um, it's a varying degree of collaboration with
Hmm.
Del. He's someone that for me part of the songwriting process for me is eventually it's gonna go through Dell at some point.
Yeah. Well, I think it's always good to have somebody to bounce ideas off of, run things through kind of like a filter. Sounds like he's that, person for you that can take what's going on in your head, and help put a spin on it.
Yeah, I just I trust his opinion. So it's and if I disagree with him, well, it's my record. So then that's
Right,
that.
right. Did you know him before joining Guns N' Roses, or was it through the Use Your Illusion era that you met him?
I met Dell around the same time I met the guys in Guns N' Roses, which
Okay.
is 1985.
Oh, wow. All right.
Yeah. So I've known all those guys since, from way, 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 way back.
Yeah.
I was in a band called The Wild, and we shared a parking lot. We had studios,
Mhm.
rehearsal studios next door to one another, and we it was they were there for like 3 or 4 months, and it seemed like 2 years.
Oh, wow.
But um, my band, we were like living in this shithole basically, and I think my band we were there for almost 2 years.
Mhm.
So, but yeah,
Did
it's
you
one of
guys
those
ever
things.
release anything? Did The
I'm
Wild
sorry.
ever release anything?
Not that I'm aware of. I we're,
I'd love to
they,
hear some of what that is because I mean, in all the rock and roll histories and everything that are out there on the band and you, it always mentions the Wild. That was your first kind of big band that you were with, getting somewhere before joining Guns N' Roses, and yeah, I've never seen anything out there in the Wild on it.
we had some success in the local clubs here, and but Guns called me, and I didn't really have to think twice, man, because
Yeah.
they just happened to be the biggest band in the world at the time. So what are you going to say?
Yeah, exactly, right?
Yeah.
So talking about this album here being the solo album, you've also done Hookers and Blow, but this is being covers. And I was just curious, how do you decide to, when to do something solo versus Hookers and Blow? And will there ever be a Hookers and Blow album of original material?
Well, from the very beginning when we started Hookers and Blow, which was a band that I started to just I don't know if I was in a slump or was
Mhm.
kind of a low point in my life, but I wanted to do something that's completely opposite of everything I've ever done. Not try to get a deal, not
Yeah.
try to, just not care basically. Eventually it turned into something more viable when
Mhm.
as we matured and got older, and it's a great band now.
Yeah.
And what we did was we started doing a couple songs off of my first record, and I hope that we'll be doing some songs off of my second record as well. But from the very beginning, people are always like, "When are you guys going to put out a record with Hookers and Blow?" So we finally said, "You know what? Let's just do it." And we kind of consider ourselves more of a cover band, and there's all these great songs that we really wanted to do.
Mhm.
And so we made a list. And funny thing is, I was actually making that record at the same time as I was making Rock and Roll Chose Me. So I was a busy boy for a while there. But I'm super happy with both of those records, man. I think they turned out great.
Oh, they're absolutely fantastic. I mean, your interpretation of the cover songs on the Hookers and Below are outstanding, as opposed to it just being straight covers, which I never really care for when bands do it. I like when you put your own spin on it. And I
Yeah,
feel like that's exactly what happened here with this. And then the selection of this to go from Rolling Stones into like Eddie Money, you
yeah.
know, it's some great selections on it.
Well, we all have our influences, and we all had, things that we wanted, bands we wanted to cover, things we wanted to cover. And I think it's super important. And I learned because I've learned from the best, if you're going to do a cover song, it's got to be as good as the original. It's got to, or better.
Yeah.
And in order to do that, I went through a lot of these songs that I've been playing since I was a kid, and just started to really listen to them and pick them apart. And you start to hear so many amazing things. And like, okay, that's got to be in there. We got to do. I wanted to do it justice.
Mhm.
And then at some point, do it sort of add your own spin,
Mhm.
which is it's not always easy, especially with all these different sort of styles, to try to cover that vocally and to deliver that.
Yeah.
It's not easy, but you figure it out. And if it's not if it wasn't good enough in my head, we wouldn't have put it out. And I think we did. I'm very happy and proud of that record as well as my others.
Yeah, absolutely, as you should be, because it is a really good album. I listen to both of these in tandem with each other. They just go hand in hand, in my opinion.
All right on.
So you were also part of the Dead Daisies on this album here, at least. How did you
Right.
hook up with John Lowry
Um, with
or David Lowry? I'm sorry,
yes, thank David Lowy.
Lowy. My bad.
I'd known Richard Fortus had started playing with them, and so I knew about them. But I also originally it was John Stevens was the singer,
Mhm.
and he's a friend of mine. We knew each other from the past, and Marco Mendoza as well. And we always talked about doing something. So when that opportunity came up, I jumped on it. It was, and then eventually, John Corabi came in, who's another great friend of mine. Um, and we that record we wrote that some of the stuff was already written, but we went in the studio for a month every day for a month
Yeah,
in Sydney. We arranged the songs, recorded them, knocked it out in a month. And I mean, I love that record. It's a shame that it got shelved like right away by their management. I don't know why they did that, but it's a great record.
absolutely. I was really glad. I mean, this was the first thing you had recorded outside of GNR.
Oh no, I've
I
done
say
many
yes,
things.
but I mean as like a full album.
I guess I was involved with that album, but I've done some other things in the past, but that was very immersive.
Right. Um, so next year 2026, I want to switch gears a little bit into the GNR world. So if next year 2026 anniversary of the first release for the band, do you know, I mean, I don't know if you can talk about any of this, but is there any special plans to do anything in 2026 for either celebrating that or just kind of the beginning of the band?
You'll know before I do.
I will. Yeah, it'll come out.
Yeah.
Then I'll contact you and let you know.
Yeah.
Um, I'll ask you some other things again. We'll see, whether you can share anything or not. But so far the band has released a couple singles that have come out, 2 tracks apiece on each one, 4 songs. Are these songs just intended to be standalone singles, or they may be earmarked for a future album?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just happy they're out. They're a great
Yeah.
song.
Well, I'm with you on that there, that I'm happy they're out. I'll take whatever new material we can get from GNR,
Yeah.
whether it be a couple singles or, new live album, whatever it might be. But there's just not enough material out there.
Yeah, hopefully there's more. I hope so.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, Another thing that just came out in the news recently was that Steven Wilson, a gentleman who does a lot of remixing for artists, in particular progressive rock bands like Yes, Gentle Giant, Jethro Tull, that kind of stuff, had done an interview and said that he had remixed the Use Your Illusion albums. So that's
Oh,
something you got a chance to hear before it got shelved. I heard that the band didn't like the remixes, so that's why it wasn't part of the box set.
this is the first I'm hearing of it.
Okay. All right, I totally hear you on that. So yeah, I mean, there's obviously lots of stuff like that that floats around, on the internet that comes out and stuff like that. And you must get asked the way I am, all these kind of things. I mean, how is that for you having to, deal with all the different, crazy questions that must come that are not even have an ounce of truth to them?
It's amazing some of the stuff that you hear, really.
Yeah.
And um, but people for some reason love to hear shit, and
Yeah.
I guess it's always going to be that way. That and for any sort of network or format that's trying to make money and draw listeners and viewers,
Mhm.
that sells. That's what they're going to want to do. So
Yeah.
unfortunately, a lot of that shit gets out there without any sort of fact checking or anything. And some of it's just complete made up bullshit. And it's not cool. So.
That's really
um,
unfortunate. Yeah, it's really unfortunate with a lot of that stuff, the clickbait as they call it, right? And it's in the headline and it says something, you read the article and it's nothing of the sort that's in there. But um, I don't know. I'm always, trying to sort out what nuggets or something to hang your hat on that are real things versus stuff that, like you said, is just made up out there.
yeah.
But there's,
Well, the bottom line is the rock and roll music, and that's what we do. And it's just so great to see all the people that come out to
mm,
the shows, whether it's Guns N' Roses, whether it's Hookers and Blow, whether it's my thing. I'm
mm,
just so grateful to be able to play rock and roll music for a living.
yeah.
And and to bring people together. And that's really such an important thing, especially in today's world.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that is the power and the beauty of music to bring people together. when you
Yes.
when you first started this or started playing back in the early 80s and whatnot, did you have any inkling in your mind that you would be doing it this far on into your professional career?
Well, I've been doing it since the 70s.
Oh wow,
So
okay.
I started like with that, the album cover, that's me.
Yeah.
And that's us rehearsing in
So
my mom and dad's basement.
this is a
So
real photo.
that's a real photo. My mom, it says on the back, the photo credits, my mom.
Oh yeah, is it really? That's
Yeah.
awesome.
So, yes, that's the 11-year-old me flipping off my mom.
That is
But
great. In the
uh,
1970s.
yes, that would be the 1970s.
Wow.
Um, Yeah, so it's from the very first time I was on stage in front of people, um, because I was a very sort of quiet, shy kid. I had a bit of a speech impediment because I had an accident and my mouth was always changing. They were trying to fix my teeth over the years.
Mhm.
So I avoided conversation but I got up on stage and all of a sudden I had a voice, I could sing um, and people were into it. Girls were screaming, and I was going, "Okay, this is what I'm going to do. I found it. Rock and roll found me. Rock and roll
Right.
chose me. I
That's
wasn't
right.
looking for
Rock
that."
and roll chose you. Absolutely, man.
So
Thank
it's
God I did.
yeah, and I that's just one of those things that
Mhm.
back then, especially. and during that time, it was such a wild ass fantasy, to even try to pursue.
Right.
And no one, I mean, no one would take you seriously. It's like, okay, sure, it's a phase. Luckily, my parents were very supportive because they like rock and roll music,
Mhm.
and so they never, they never really said anything. They never they encouraged me,
Mhm.
but also, gave me a sense of like, this might not work out. So yeah, my dad taught me hard work. He had a little grocery store out in a town called Fort Lupton, and I used to work there on the weekends and summers and everything, and play music and play football and kind of go to school. So, but it was all about like, hard work,
Mhm.
getting, finishing what you started, getting things done. And luckily I was able to apply that to the music. And I think um, a lot of people don't realize that how much work goes into every aspect of it.
Mhm.
Because a lot of us do this because we don't want to have a job. We want to we want to do something fun, but you learn quickly on that if you're gonna do it, you have to work hard. You have to stay ahead of the game. You
Mhm.
have to offer something that because if people will tell you if they don't like it,
Right.
they won't come out. And you have to learn from your failures in front of people. That's the only way you can really, you can't learn sitting on your computer making projects.
Mhm.
That's part of it. But when you get in front of people and you roll with the punches, it's like, okay, well, they didn't like that. So what do I do? You learn from it.
Right.
You learn from that experience. But yeah, it's at the end of the day, it's a lot of hard work, the songwriting process, preparing to play live, and then, don't even like the business aspect of things. It's a whole nother thing, but it's all worth it.
Yeah.
When you finally get the music out there, like with my new record, I'm so happy that it's out now. And when you take the stage, whether it's the Whiskey a Go-Go, doing my thing with Hookers and Blow, or at Wembley Stadium with Guns N' Roses, it's so great to see people come together and and
Mhm.
and in these divisive times, especially. I think it's again, music is something that everyone all over the world can relate to. I mean, uh, uh, I've gotten a lot of plays in China, in Shanghai. So it's like, maybe I'll go there and play a show.
Yeah, you never know where the music is going to make a connection from, and that's the beauty of music, that it can make connections across language, borders, whatever. And having, some of your music appear in the different countries that it does, that's wild.
With, all the stuff that's going on in the news, it's
Mhm.
when the music, it doesn't seem to matter.
Yeah.
There's people in St. Petersburg and Moscow and Kiev
Mhm.
and London and Australia and South America and China and listening to these songs. And that's it's pretty amazing.
Mhm.
And and I think again, it just shows the strength of music and of people coming together because that's we need that now more than ever, man. And if this can get the job done and people can get the message and start working, enjoy the music together and let's sit down, let's work things out together. Um, because if we stay divided, we're fucked,
Yeah. Right, right.
and we can't do that. It's time to just move past that and let the powers that be know, who we are and what we can do. We're the human race.
Yeah. Well said, man. Absolutely. That's awesome. On that note, you're about ready to head out and do some live shows.
Well, my A number one priority is always GNR.
Yeah.
And yes, we will be back in rehearsal shortly, and then off to South and Central America.
Very cool. So we'll wrap back up, come full circle about your album, because this is certainly what we're here all about. Now, right now, this is only available as LP. So no CD yet, no full digital yet. Any plans in the future to do a CD and or full digital release?
Well, I can tell you this. The full digital release comes out tomorrow.
Oh, well, there you go. Fantastic. I'll let all
Oh,
my viewers know in advance.
yes, but also the limited edition vinyl there's still some available.
Mhm.
If you're into that, it's autographed by me. You get a poster, you get a sticker, and it's translucent orange. It looks really cool. And it's autographed by me. So
Okay.
And if people go to my Instagram page and check out the bio section, there's a link you can click on. It's Dizzy F and Reed. It's my
Right.
Instagram. Or you can go to the 50Q Records website and order it too. And there's limited edition, and it's a really cool thing to have. And but yes, the vinyl is out. Digital's out tomorrow.
Very cool, man. Well, I really appreciate you taking the time to sit down and talk to me here, not only about your album, but all the various projects that you've been part of. You've had some really great stuff with Hookers and Below, the solo stuff, doing the Dead Daisies and whatnot, and of course, the main band, Guns N' Roses. So thank you so much for being here. Appreciate it.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me, man. And thank you for the support over the years. And hope to talk to you again soon with some more mu new music.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. As soon as you got some new stuff, I would love to have you back on.
Okay, right on, man. Thank you.
You're welcome, man. All right, everyone. Thanks for tuning in, and certainly head over, check out Dizzy Reed, his Instagram page, and head over to 50Q as well. Go grab that autograph copy of this,
Yes.
and now you can, starting tomorrow on September 5th, you're going to be able to stream it as well.
Yep, for sure.
All right. See you, everyone.